I'm a rocket man, burning out my fuse up here alone. Just got off my bi-weekly mentoring call, and one of my clients, he's actually in Israel right now, and he was hiding in a bunker, and I serenaded him with the song "Rocket Man" by Elton John in the hopes that he makes it through this difficult time. But anyway, just hopped off that call. Wanted to hop on here and chit chat with y'all for a little bit on this wonderful Saturday before I head out into the world. Want to do a little recap on a couple things that happened this week. I don't know if you saw the atrocious cringecore that was Elon Musk's appearance on the Saturday Night Live program. Now, I only saw snippets of this as I don't really watch network television, much less Saturday Night Live. I find it to be unamusing, which is odd because the entire premise of the program is that it's an amusing variety hour or something like that. But I saw, yes, a bit of the a bit of the cringe things. Now, subsequently, the cryptocurrency market was sent to the toilet due to some statements he made trivializing his beloved Dogecoin. And then he, of course, announced that they would no longer be accepting Bitcoin for payment at Tesla Motors. And the entire cryptocurrency market went into the toilet. And if you're one of these investors angling to enrich yourself through that market, you may have been stymied, taken aback, annoyed at Mr. Musk and his adventures on the television. Now, it's kind of interesting because I take this guy, Damian Welter, in the comments here says, I take it Elon's never been a client. Now, isn't it interesting, though, that this guy, and I wanted to talk about this, this is why I brought this up, because he's actually a very charismatic individual. Now, on the surface, if you were to look at this, you'd be like, he doesn't seem charismatic at all. He's kind of, he makes these weird movements, his speaking is kind of stiff, it's sort of not really expressive per se, and you think when we're talking about charisma, you imagine that there's these archetypes that you must fit in this certain box in order to be a charismatic person. You got to be like Don Draper from Mad Men, or John F. Kennedy. These are great orators, or something like that. That's just one type of charisma. And the thing is about Elon, like let's take for example, like look at Elon Musk versus say Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, both of these people are magnates, captains of industry in the tech industry, billionaires. Yet Zuck is pretty much universally reviled as this android lizard creature devoid of humanity. Nobody likes that guy. Like you would be hard pressed, like much like Diogenes searching for an honest man or something back in the day. Go forth and find me one person who thinks Mark Zuckerberg is like charming and charismatic. I don't think you'd be able to find anyone. If it was like, if you're like Lot and God tells you go forth into the city and and see if you can find one person who thinks that Mark Zuckerberg's charming, I will spare the city. Well, guess what? The city's going down, y'all. Conversely, again, Elon, he sort of has this, I don't know, this sort of endearing naivete about him. Of course, we could argue he's not naive at all. He is actually very well versed. He knows what he's doing. Let's just put it that way. But here's the thing about him: even though he has these sort of unusual tics in his character and demeanor and mannerisms, at the same time, he's shameless about it. He doesn't have, at least seemingly, like on the outside at least, who knows what his inner life is like. But in terms of the way he communicates, he says what he wants. He's not really concerned with people judging him for his quirks. And I think that that's one of the biggest parts, or hindrances, blocks rather, that prevent people from being charismatic. And for me, look, if you look at me, I'm not this like traditionally alpha male guy, whatever you call it. I'm like kind of short, like 5'7", 5'8", 5'7.5", if we're being precise. You know, I'm not like exceptionally good looking. I'm not like Quasimodo or anything. I'm not exceptionally good looking. Not like some super wealthy dude or anything like that. Yet, I've had success in the dating realm in particular that I'd say is greater than probably 97% of the population. You know, I've literally had experiences that you could characterize as rock star life. Um, and it's been quite gratifying for me personally. But how was I able to do that despite being, again, not traditionally good looking, not traditionally have a traditional sense of humor or anything like that? It's because I learned how to turn what others might perceive as my faults or quirks, idiosyncratic behaviors, and turn those into gold. So that's really what it's about. It's about giving you your power back and learning how to shut off this addictive need, addictive need for judgment, right? This addictive need to judge and be judged that makes your mind a barrier between the inner and outer as opposed to a bridge, right? So I think that one of the foundational purposes of charisma is to give the people we interact with an almost consciousness expanding interaction with higher energies. And so my goal is like, how can we improve that? You know, people can understand technique, and you do need technique if you want to have certain types of interactions. You know, if you want to go above and beyond and you have the kind of interactions that are only possible in the movies, yeah, technique's necessary. But if your mind's this judgmental hindrance and it's causing these various tension blocks, you're not going to be able to express yourself in a free way like you would if you were just with your friends kicking it in the living room, cracking a beer. So what if you could be like that with people you just met? What if you had the tools in order to show your best self to people so people would actually like you, right? What if you could do that all the time? That's been the aim, that's been my aim for the past 20 years, is helping people do that. And of course, I got a new program out now called 5-Hour Charisma that distills down my 18-hour charisma mastery program into what I felt were the kind of the 20% of content in there that was giving people 80% of the results. And I'm also adding in 5 mini mentoring sessions, which are going to be conducted at the end of this month and middle of next month. And you're getting all this for $155, the cheapest program I've ever put out, most impactful program I've ever put out. 5hourcharisma.com. Check it out. You can go there, read the copy or whatever, find out a little bit more what it's all about. But if you wanted to get in on this charisma mastery stuff, but the price was a little too rich for your blood, now I've got this program that condenses it down to the most impactful parts and goes above and beyond with 5 mini mentoring sessions live with me. 5hourcharisma.com. Check it out. So anyway, I was going to go on a bit of a cavort throughout the town. But before I do that, I just finished my mentoring. I want to check it out and see what's going on here. PUA is filled with guys short, balding, and bold. Well, yeah, dude. You know, look, here's the thing. You know, I was looking at TikTok today, and like it was like, you know, these like little TikTok fuckboys with like what's the guy's name? Bryce Hall. Like, this guy gets so much ass. I'm like, well, of course he does. Fucking look at him. That's not impressive to me. That doesn't impress me in the slightest. It's like, put me in that guy's body, and I'll have like triple his fucking body count. Like, this shit's not impressive. Look at myself. Look at Tyler. You know, these midgets with like man boobs who are literally going up to people and saying, "Suck my elderly man boobs," and having that be well received. That's impressive to me. Right? That's fucking impressive to me. Because you're able to transcend, then that's really what it's all about. It's not allowing yourself to be put in a box by these standards, these societal standards, and actually making something out of yourself instead of crying about it like a little, I don't know, what's a good word for that? Like some sort of like imbecile who cries in the darkness, looking at a candle, listening to Lionel Richie, and like, I don't know, you know, staring wistfully into the distance as he like idly masturbates with his left hand. Not his right, his left, so he can pretend. So let's see what else we got here. Platform boots. Yes, with platform boots, you could be tall. There's a lot of things you could be, but why? Who gives a shit? Like who cares? So I can reach something high on a shelf. I'll make the girl that I date reach for the high thing. Make the 6-foot girl I'm dating do that. So let's see, what do we got? Have you ever befriended an enemy? Is that a higher level paradigm? Actually, I think that the paradigm, a massively beneficial paradigm for conflict communication. If you want to be a master of conflict communication, it's learning how to communicate in that conflict situation without disrespecting or othering the person. And what does that mean? Basically, when you get to a point when you're starting to put labels upon the other person, you're like, this is, oh, of course, it's just some like drunk idiot, or of course, it's this member of X group or whatever. Now you've put yourself in a bad position, actually, because now you're in that like limbic brain, that sort of emotional monkey brain, the tribal brain that just wants to win. And what this will have a tendency to do is make you start following a script, and or you're taking the bait on hooks the other person's throwing out to give them justification to attack you, verbally or even physically. So when you're able to stay in that human brain and not disrespect the other person, even if they deserve it, they're like, well, what if they're the asshole? Well, it doesn't matter. You want to stay on the human brain so you're able to manipulate the situation to your actual benefit and actually win. So yeah, I think that, that's not necessarily befriending an enemy. Although to be fair, I will say this, many times I've been out and I've been like talking to somebody that I wanted to date, and then some other dude came in and we started kind of competing. We started riffing on each other and kind of like talking trash. And then it turned out I found that person more interesting than this girl I was speaking to earlier. And like I actually ended up befriending the dude. I'm like, oh, this guy's got some game, dude. Okay, this guy's playing the game. You know what I'm saying? And I'd rather meet this person than this like transitory nonsense in front of me on this side. And then I actually befriended those people, and they became my like wings, and we'd go out and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely. I think you want to be open to those situations, and I think that those are some of the best friendships you might ever have. In retrospect, they might actually turn out to be that. Musk Melon does not have charisma. He merely has the halo effect because he is rich. Interesting. Well, how do you think the dude got rich? And look, maybe you can argue, oh, well, he helped create PayPal or whatever the case may be, but it's like, look, when this is a very common argument, like this rich person isn't charismatic, they're just rich. Well, how the fuck do you think that those people got rich? They just stumbled in. Look, the business world isn't just like you have a good idea and then you get rich off the good idea because you're smart. It's like, no, dude, you need to know how to navigate the politics of that, right? You need to know how to pitch. You need to know how to interview. You need to know how to negotiate. That's all charisma, right? All business is connections. All business is human relationships, their perception of value, right? It's all tied in. Again, so I think that's a false assessment of the situation. Now, again, perhaps now that he's at that elevated level, but again, how do you think he got there, right? Oh yes, Tyler hasn't had a cold since 2012. Okay, so but wanted to add a little muskiness to my game. Would you recommend Moderna or Pfizer? Well, it really doesn't matter. Now the CDC has recommended these masks be relegated to the dustbin of history, provided you've taken the jab or whatever the fuck they're calling it. And it couldn't come soon enough for me because I've been out and people have been more relaxed. Obviously in the park here, I live in San Francisco. The park's been amazing. People have been very receptive and very open to adventures. Back at the home, subsequently, and it just I can't wait. I think that again, my analogy is this is like a champagne bottle that's been shaken up. It's been shaken up, and this shit's about to explode. It's about to explode all over the world. the face of the world. And you better be ready. Y'all best be ready. You best be ready to get back out there and take advantage, because this is a unique moment in history, the likes of which we'll probably never see again, right? This snapback effect of people wanting human connection. Isn't it interesting how much we want human connection, even though we can barely fucking stand each other? It's like, connection, connection. Okay, get the fuck away now. But there's going to be that brief moment where we're like, connection, connection. Are you ready? Are you prepared? Are you rusty? Maybe you've been in it before and now you're a little rusty. Let's brush up on those skills. 5hourcharisma.com. My latest program that, again, what are we training when we're talking about charisma? Really, there's two sides to the coin. If you go on like a boot camp, for example, which I've been doing plenty of these since in the past couple of months, since things kind of opened up again, and it's been phenomenal. I mean, students having incredible results every weekend. And that's kind of the technique side. But then one thing that was very important to me was that I learned how to teach guys how to fucking vibe. Because, again, you get these dudes that are going up and just mumbling and tense and sort of not really smiling. And they think they are, right? So a big part of that kind of training is making you experientially aware of the gap between what you think you're projecting and what people are actually perceiving, right? Because these guys, they think that they're like, again, being Rico Suave or something, but in reality, they're very almost wooden. They speak not in monotone per se, but very kind of predictable cadences. Their faces aren't very alive. They're not really even, there's no consideration or even awareness of what the sort of packets of emotional information that they're sending. And it's just fucking dull, dude. And people aren't going to look. You're not going to crack through their RAS and become emotionally relevant if you just go up and fucking mumble some gibberish and then say some lines that Jeffy told. It's just not going to work. So again, I puzzled over this for years, because I would tell these guys, like, just be cool. Like, smile more, bigger emotional color. You seem stifled. But again, those instructions were just kind of vague and subjective, quite frankly, and wouldn't really help them in the moment. All it was almost like telling them your clothes suck. It's like, well, I can't change the clothes, so now I just feel judged. now I feel worse, unless you brought a shirt for him or something, So if I tell this guy, you need to smile, you bigger emotional color, you seem shut down. Again, it's like telling them that their shirt sucks, because it's not helping them. It's just making them feel more judged. It's not giving them any clear descriptive means of how to fix it. So for the past couple of years, what I wanted to do was investigate and figure, how do you teach that? And not in an abstract way, like, okay, here's the fascinating abstractions. That's a confusing labyrinth for you to navigate. Like, these fucking thought experiments about presence and shit. It's like, let's face it, that's what most of the teaching around vibe, inner game has been. So I was like, how can we give people a very, like, practical exercise process to work on all the variables that go into that type of high-level communication, all the variables that go into crafting a so-called vibe that make people want to stop what they're doing and pay enough fucking attention to you so you can even have time to execute your little horizontal plot development, to execute your, to introduce your proposal I wouldn't say marriage, of promiscuity, your proposal of promiscuity. Right? So yeah, that's the other side of the coin. So that's why I developed Charisma Mastery, and that's why I created 5 Hour Charisma. Because again, one of the things people were talking about was like, this Charisma Mastery, it's too long, dude. It's like 18 hours. The hell is this? Use too many big words. But excuse me for assuming that my audience is not composed of imbeciles. But, again, I say in the program itself, I'm like, you don't have the luxury of labeling your audience inadequate or stupid because they don't understand your communication. So I took my own message to heart. I'm like, okay, let's condense this down into like a more accessible, easy to digest format, giving them like the absolute fundamentals, because I believe fundamentals are the most important in any discipline. What are the absolute fundamentals to learn how to create vibe in a practical way? What's an exercise process for that? Okay, let's distill that down to 5 hours. And then let's throw in something even better. Let's throw in something where we start to talk about, rubber meets the road stuff. Like, how can I then take this into actual performance and interactions? So if I'm going to actually, in fact, let me call up this old thing here. So in this actual program, what we actually go through, there's basically 8 main areas, and you want to work these much in the same way you'd work different areas of your body in the gym. You work legs day, you have arms day, chest day, back day, whatever. So you want to work again the face, voice, body. You want to work the mind, so it spends more time in useful and productive activity as opposed to being this fucking judgmental hindrance. You want to work the emotional process so you're aware of when you're becoming emotional and you could cool those triggers off. You can also become aware of what other people are giving you emotionally so you can modulate your tonality and ride that wave. Talking about the 6 skills involved in charismatic communication, which I won't get into here now, but basically these encompass any situation you might encounter in an interaction. Getting core confidence as opposed to situational confidence. How do you achieve that? How do you get it so it's to your core? Right, that deep identity level change where it's not a facade you're putting on, it's not based on the situation, it's not based on their reaction, but it's a keen understanding of the value proposition. And that makes all the difference in the world. Of course, then we talk about technique in the conversation week, or module rather. Then we talk about persuasion and frame control, conflict communication, how to navigate that, touched on that a little bit earlier. And then last but not least, personal individual leadership that'll let you move towards the perceived danger in a situation. Because you can know all this shit, but if you're not able to motivate yourself to take action, you're just going to sit there in cowardice and huddling in the mist, like a cuddle chode, cuddling yourself with a bag on your head as you cry. God forbid they pull out Google and look them up. That's, I think it's very important. It's hard to break out of your shell when you've been introverted all the damn time. But damn, Mike says, Jeffy is pretty good looking. I mean, look, thank you, I suppose. What are you going to do? Roaring 20s 2.0. This guy's been selling courses for the last 20 years. That's the damn truth. And with each iteration, with each course, and look, let me tell you this thing. I only put stuff out if it helps me personally, if it's beneficial to me personally, and if I see it actually works on students. Because I haven't just been sitting here, like I'm not just some YouTube guy. I don't just sit here and say things in a camera. Every single weekend, last year notwithstanding, for the past 18 and a half years, I've been taking students out to bars, to clubs, to the park, to the mall, on the street, and actually approaching people. Right? You don't keep doing that for 20 years if you're not good at it. You don't keep doing that for 20 years if you don't actually love it. So I'm not just some dude sitting here in some ivory tower. Well, I read this in a book. It's like, this is the stuff that actually gets the students results. And yes, again, I put out execute the program. That helped me tremendously. Okay, here's a system I developed to get success on Tinder. That's replicable. Okay, here's a system that I've developed, Charisma Mastery, to help people work on their vibe. Like, you may know technique, but how can you improve your vibe so people want to be around you? So you have time to execute that technique. Here's a practical, real exercise process that's concerned with pragmatic reality and isn't just this philosophical experiment. All right, here that is. Enjoy it. You can take it if you want. It's $150. You'd spend that on a dinner. If you don't like it, get a refund. What do you have to lose? 5hourcharisma.com. Check it out. So I truly believe this is the best product I've ever put out. And I'll probably put out something better in the future when I gain deeper understandings going forward. But again, look, your time is valuable. Don't be arrogant. Don't be arrogant about this stuff. You have an ego. And so, of course, where did most people learn this stuff? From their parents, who probably got married in high school and can barely stand even talking to each other. Or maybe they got divorced. And now your dad's trying to go out to learn this stuff because he didn't learn it right the first time around. He's like, hey, son, beast mode. Hey, son, let's go beast mode. Sounds pretty cool, actually. I wish I had a dad. But, but anyway, I'd encourage you to check it out. Very, very potent stuff. Very inexpensive, very accessible. 5hourcharisma.com. Basically what it is, 5 hours of charisma mastery distilled into the most potent segments. And then 5 live modules that go further where you're actually going to interact with me like a mini mentoring. All right? Anywho, it's been cool to pop on here. I'll be back in a couple of days, and I'll see you on the proverbial flip side. Until then, make sure that you're being good boys and girls, and because I'm going to make a list